According to the National Institutes of Health, a family caregiver's risk for experiencing depression is 30 times greater than that of a non-caregiver. That is just a huge risk factor. Especially when the caregiving is for a loved one with dementia, the risk is greater. In fact, as we mentioned earlier in the course, it's estimated that depression affects 20 to 40% of caregivers. Some research puts that number even higher, as high as 70% of caregivers having clinically significant symptoms of depression, with approximately 1/4 to 1/2 of these caregivers meeting the diagnostic criteria for major depression. Caregiving can also result in feeling a loss of self-identity, lower levels of self-esteem, constant worry, or feelings of uncertainty. It is not uncommon for caregivers to have less self-acceptance and feel less effective and less in control of their lives than non-caregivers. Unfortunately, we have to stay just a little bit longer in these bad news statistics so that we really understand, wake up to the state of our emotional and mental health. More than 1/5 of caregivers, 22%, say they are exhausted when they go to bed at night. From my own experience, I know how this feels, and I know how many feel as they report that they cannot handle all their caregiving responsibilities. Alarmingly, caregivers who experience chronic stress may be at a greater risk for their own cognitive decline, including their own loss of short-term memory, attention, and verbal IQ. Now, the words I just used to describe this experience were chronic stress. Stress is a word we all understand as being negative and hard, but there are other words that we should consider too, as you'll see next. Yes, it's certainly stress we feel, but there's no one word or one way we feel it. The challenges can come at us in a million different combinations. The words we hear caregivers say most are stress, burden, anxiety, anger, bitterness, guilt, depression, and overwhelm. Those words surface repeatedly, and if we're not careful, it can feel like a nightmare chant. Stress, burden, anxiety, anger, bitterness, guilt, depression, and overwhelm, right? Over and over again. Stress, burden. All these feelings and emotions coming at us at different times, or sometimes at the same time, can cause us to feel that we are drowning. And in some ways, we are. We yearn for, we need and we deserve help and relief. Can I just pause here and say, it's okay to admit this, and you're not alone. We're in this community of caregivers, and so we're in this together. And I just want to be super affirming of what you're experiencing when you experience these words, these emotions, these burdens. It's common for caregivers. You're normal. You're not alone. It's part of the journey. And we believe that what we're teaching and talking about today will help you navigate the journey that helps you find relief. But we have one more hurdle to overcome first, and it's hitting head on the topic of stigma. Stigma about mental and emotional illness, challenges, and health.